Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is bathe. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you are most likely to hear bathe used is to mean to wash oneself or someone else, or even something, generally by immersing one's body into water. So immersing, think of like kind of going in to something. A second way you hear bathe used is to mean to soak or wipe gently with liquid in order to clean. So you might think of someone who's in the hospital, maybe not physically able to get up and get into a bath or to walk into a shower. We can still use this verb to talk about cleaning oneself. A third way you might hear bathe used is to refer to the activity of swimming. Now, this is generally more common in British English. I don't hear it much living in the United States, but you still might encounter it in some literature or perhaps some movies as well. You should know that bathe is a regular verb. To make the progressive form of this verb, we're going to drop the E and then add ing to form bathing. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are going to be made just adding the letter D, since this verb already ends in an E. Our base verb, bathe, the, ends in a voiced TH sound. Now there are unvoiced and voiced TH sounds, which I know can make it English even more confusing, but here we have a voiced TH sound, so our past tense ending is just going to make a D sound. Bathed, bathed. Okay. Now, a couple phrasal verbs you might encounter would be to bathe in. This could have a couple different meanings. One is, again, referring to washing someone or something inside another object. Okay? An example of this might be, they bathed the baby in the kitchen sink until she was 6 months old. Right? So here, this idea, we're washing the baby in the kitchen sink. And many people do this because it's, well, first, they're tiny, and it might be a little easier to maneuver and kind of stay upright instead of sort of hunched over a bathtub. A second way you'll hear bathe used is to mean to envelop or cover with some substance. So here you might kind of think of being wrapped in or covered up by something. An example of this might be, we bathed in the sunshine all afternoon. So kind of this idea of just being covered, wrapped in sunshine. Now let's use our verb of the day, bathe. And today, instead of practicing verb tenses, it's been a while since we've talked about some common modals. So I thought today we would look at making requests, right? So here we're asking someone to do something for us. So all of our requests here, and you're going to see 5 different ways to make a request. They're all going to use bathe. And they're all very nice ways to ask someone to do something. But we'll start off with the less polite ones. So I'm going to draw your attention over here. So one way to make a request is with the modal can. So I'll have can, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. I could also say will, the subject, and the base verb. Both of those ways are just fine. And I think it's really common amongst our family members to sort of speak in this sort of more informal way. We don't have to worry about being so polite with our immediate family. So you might hear someone say, can you bathe the dog tomorrow? Or will you bathe the dog tomorrow? Again, asking someone to take care of this activity, this action. Okay. You could always add the word please to the end of this question, or we could say, can you please bathe, or will you please bathe? We could insert it there to, again, sort of increase our level of politeness. Okay. You're going to notice the same pattern. So to make this just a little more polite or a little more formal, we could use the modal could or would. Okay, so again, with this, you're going to notice modal, subject, base verb. So could you bathe the baby tonight? Would you bathe the baby tonight? Maybe you have some new parents here trying to like, oh, you do that task. I'm so tired. And so you might be trying to make it just a little more polite in hopes that that person will say yes. Now, the last way you hear people make requests is with would you mind, and then we use the gerund form of our verb. So you'll notice here, bathing. Would you mind bathing the patient in room 10? So maybe these are co-workers in a hospital talking to one another, and one is asking another for some help in providing care to some patients. So because it's our coworker, we're at work, maybe we're trying to be just a little more polite. Okay, so those are really our 5 ways to make requests. Let's take a look at the answers to can, will, could, and would together. Okay, so if someone would ask you these questions and you want to respond affirmatively in the positive, you'll notice here we could say sure, we could say certainly, of course, no problem, I'd be glad to, right? So all of those answers stay the same no matter what the modal is. Okay, and if you want to answer negatively, right? So you're going to say no to someone's request. Commonly, you'll hear people, to be polite, say, I'm sorry, but I can't, or even, I'm afraid I can't. They might provide a reason as to why, but generally, those are just kind of considered to be enough. I'm sorry, I can't. And someone might ask you the follow-up question, why not? And then you might have to go on and explain, but these answers are enough to these simple requests. Okay. What can seem a little confusing is the way our affirmative answers work with would you mind. So this question, would you mind, is really asking kind of like, does this bother you? Right? So to answer affirmatively, we're going to use some negative words. We're going to say not at all, right? So I'm saying I'm not bothered, right? Of course not, right? Again, not bothered. You could say I'd be glad to, or no problem. Very common to hear those answers to this type of request, okay? And then again, if you want to say no to would you mind, again, you could go back to the I'm sorry I can't, I'm afraid I can't. All of those would be fine ways to decline someone's request. Now, let's take a moment to look at some words and phrases that are related to our verb bathe. And the first word we're going to look at is the noun form of this word, bath. Bath. So I've taken the E away, and now my TH sound is going to be an unvoiced TH. Bath. I hope you can hear that difference between bathe and bath. Okay, so when we refer to that noun, many times we are talking about immersing ourselves in a body of water, washing ourselves. I've included kind of a picture to help us with that as well. So an example of bath used as a noun might be, some people take bubble baths to relax. A second way you hear the noun bath used is just a shortened form of bathtub. Right? So again, down here in the bottom right-hand corner is a nice picture to kind of help guide us, and in case that's a new word for you. So an example of this, he's been in the bath for 30 minutes. right? Maybe you're complaining about a sibling or someone else in your house taking too much time in that particular location. And then a third way you might hear the noun bath used is to refer to an establishment with bathing facilities or mineral springs. An example of this might be people are asked to take a shower before entering the hot springs bath. So some people do this for health reasons, for relaxation. In certain cultures, I think it's more common than it likely is here in the United States, but you still may encounter this while traveling or on a vacation. I'll also note that this noun, bath, gets used in so many different compound words in English, right? And they're all going to sort of be connected here to this same idea, right? You might think of bathroom, or I used bathtub, bathrobe, bath mat, right? The list can go on and on. But I figured, well, you can probably kind of put together those meanings. I did want to introduce you to another noun, a bather. Bather. Many times this is used to refer to swimmers. You might see some signs at pools with this word used. Or it could refer to just a person who's spending time in the water. So an example of this might be, the pool has a limit of 50 bathers. What they're saying is we can't have more than 50 people inside this pool. So it might be a rather small one. Lastly, let's talk about a quick phrase that you might encounter. The phrase is to take a bath. Now, you'll hear people say this in regards to cleaning themselves, but sometimes people use it to describe suffering a big financial loss. An example of this might be, have your retirement accounts taken a bath in the market downturn? So maybe you've heard someone use a phrase similar to this. The stock market in the United States has been kind of and doing that a little bit lately. So some people feel like they have their retirement accounts or investment accounts have lost a lot of value during this time. So you might hear that phrase used to describe that event. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.